can't seem to catch your break. Always the one I love to hate. I just need a way out. I think I need a headspace holiday from every single thought I can't escape. 'Cause I want forget everything I regret. I need a headspace holiday. I don't wanna feel this way. My world is tangled like a web. I feel I'm hanging by a thread. Another face in the crowd. Am I just waiting for a change? It all keeps going.
Come on, Seth. That's right in your wheelhouse, bro.
You say, finally, we get some music on here that I like and I can get into, and it's right in my wheelhouse. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, why don't we do this now? Let's bring Keith on. Keith Wallen, welcome to the show, man.
Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Good, man. Good to talk to you, man. It's good to have another record from you, man. It's been a few years, so tell us about Infinity Now.
Well, first off, thank you guys so much for having me. Just thrilled to be here. Man. I love making music, and it was time for another album. And in between writing, this new Breaking Benjamin album and Breaking Benjamin tours, I have little pockets of time, and I just can't sit around and do nothing. So I gotta stay busy and make my own music for a little while. Pretty much I just want to make as much music as I can before I die.
Right on, man. Well, dude, I'm always curious with guys like you, and there's a lot of guys like you that do multiple things, or they're in a big band, but they steadily release music, and you guys write all the time. How do you draw that creative line, on a song? Because I know y'all think that everything is your baby and that it's all great, but how do you draw that creative line on what is good enough to? Well, let's start there. How do you decide what is good enough for the band versus for the solo? Is one better than the other?
I think it's just a different sound. I think, obviously it's both rock. It's, it's two rock bands. But Breaking Benjamin, they have a kind of a signature sound. Obviously it's a different vocalist. Ben sings his way, I sing my way. Our voices sound very different. At least I think so. I sometimes I see fans online being like, "You sound like Ben," and I'm like, "I'm not trying to sound like Ben. I sound like Keith, man." But obviously, being in Breaking Benjamin for 10 years and singing harmonies, vocals for Ben for 10 years, you can't help but kind of want to emulate him just in the live stance. Especially on Breaking Benjamin concerts, I try to sound like him and sound like the record as much as I can. But for my stuff, it's a different bag. It's a different kind of thing. It's a different mindset that goes into the writing. I think there's a little bit more of freedom with my stuff in a way, just because, like I said, Breaking Benjamin has kind of a signature kind of sound. And so, I've got my own voice, and really I'm free to do whatever I want, which is cool. But I pretty much stick to rock for the time being. I think I played around with a little bit of like more, kind of more subdued kind of piano kind of stuff when I first kind of started out with the solo stuff. But I've been playing in rock bands for over 20 years. So I'm kind of just coming back to my hard rock roots.
And see, hearing your music is actually hearing rock music again for me. That era of Breaking Benjamin and now this stuff with you, it's good. Whereas I've been watching a lot of rock music anymore of this day and era. Maybe I just don't hear it.
Tell him the truth, Keith. There's plenty of it out there. You just got to go find it, right?
But you can't find it like you used to, because rock radio isn't what it used to be, and touring isn't the way that it used to be, because now everything's a festival. So I think rock music is kind of getting put on the back burner because of the way the industry is now.
I mean, you can make an argument for both things. You can say that, hey, rock music is dying out and it's not the same as it used to. I mean, but you can also make the same argument that, rock music is thriving because, some of the biggest tours in the world are rock bands, and it's still going. Obviously things have changed. It's going to continue to change with the way the business works and streaming and, cassette tapes and vinyls and CDs and all that. Who knows what the next thing's going to be, but surprisingly vinyls kind of come back. Yeah. So you never know. It's all cyclical. You want to hope that things come back around, especially rock music. I think that as much as it's kind of put on the back burner, as you say, it is in a lot of ways, especially when you look at award shows.
Well, that was going to be one of my points. I sit there and I look at. I was a rock DJ for 10 years at one of the best stations in Cleveland, and playing your guys' music, Breaking Benjamin music. It was great, and had a huge fan base. And then I watch shows like the Grammys anymore. They put on a band and call it rock music, Glass Tigers. And, I mean, it's not rock music that I used to listen to, and so I think it's a different kind of thing now. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it is a different thing. Gosh, I don't know. I find myself, I'll observe these things also, and just things just change with the times. I hate to say it, and I'm in my 40s, so half the time I'm like, man, this sucks, or maybe I'm just getting old and I'm just like, like, I hope it's not the case. I try to stay, up with the Joneses and everything else, but technology and everything is just evolving so much faster than just, it's hard to keep a handle on it. And,
if I hear one more country song about some guy's fucking dog in his pickup truck, I'm going to kill myself. I want to hear some music that actually kicks me in the balls like you guys do.
I mean, you better get some life insurance because, man, there's more coming. There's some more coming. Yeah, man. There's in country. Gosh, country's it's it's always been huge, but I think now more often nowadays there's a hybrid kind of country rock thing happening. There's a lot of artists that are, I think, country roots, but they really heavy it up with guitars and stuff, and a lot of great artists too. I might add, there's some stuff that I've heard lately that it's pretty awesome, man. And I try to have an open mind with things. It's like, I look at it kind of like, when I was younger, I didn't really like hot sauce. I didn't really like spicy foods, and I feel like over time my taste buds have evolved, and now I put Cholula on everything, and like I love a little thing. But it's same with like my musical ear and what I listen to and what catches my ear. I've listened to the same stuff for years and years, and now I've really tried to kind of program myself not to just be hardened to the outside world, but like be more open to new stuff like that. And I've really found some really great kind of artists. I hated country music when I was growing up. I mean, I grew up in West Virginia. I heard it all the time. I was like, this sucks. I was like, crank up some Metallica and let's go,
Right.
Now, I don't know whether it's like a nostalgia thing, but man, we were on tour a couple years ago. And we got a chance to watch Alan Jackson on his like final tour. We had a day off in Nebraska, and he was playing there. And we were able to like get into the show, and we watched the show. And dude, I knew every song, I was like, this is awesome. And I was so into it, and the crowd was just going crazy. And I was like, man, this is great. Like, it really did just, I don't know, man. It was a really great experience. And I think that kind of opened my horizons up a little bit to more country stuff. But
sure. How much of that for you goes into kind of your, I'm going to call it your second career, although I don't think it's an official thing with you, but you write for a lot of people. You're at least called on to help craft some music here and there. Is that something that you think, 15 years from now, when you're not wanting to get on a bus or get on a stage anymore, that you're kind of aiming toward, as becoming one of those guys that, yeah, I'll sit home and I'll write something and somebody will pay me a lot of money to sing it?
I think that's the goal with, I think I'm not going to be able to do this forever. I'm not going to be able to play guitar and sing. I mean, I think that's really what goes into the reason why I'm doing this whole solo, second career with that, is
Sure.
just, I know I'm going to be, laying in a bed with arthritic hands and I can't play guitar and sing anymore. And I'm like, man, I wish I would have really just played more shows and written more songs or whatever. I think so. I kind of lump that in with that, performing and playing, but also writing songs. I mean, I just love to make music and, and gosh, it's really cool to work with different artists and just get outside of your own head and really tap into someone else's creativity and see what you can come up with. I mean, lots of times it's just, the sum of two parts really creates magic sometimes. And,
Sure.
So
is that rewarding for you? Is it rewarding when, Head from Korn calls you and says, hey man, I can't figure this out, or I could use a song, or Dorothy or Saint Asonia or any of these people?
Oh yeah. I mean, and plus, all these artists that you're naming out, I mean, I feel like they don't need my help at all. Like they are absolutely amazing artists, like on their own right, so just for me to be able to like work with them in any capacity is like a huge honor for me. So, I think it's just kind of like, hey, being able to make music is great, but being able to like make music with some of these amazing artists is just like the cherry on top. So, just playing with house money with that. So it's cool.
Where does Breaking Benjamin stand right now? You guys working on anything new? Tours coming up? What's going on?
Yeah, we got some tours coming up, and we're always working on new stuff. It's been a while since we had a release.
And you guys started promising us that like 2 years ago. We started hearing, there's a new record coming. There's a new record coming. It's still coming, huh?
It is. It's still coming. I mean, that's better than just like, hey, there's no record coming. Right. So yeah, I think what we've kind of it'll be ready when it's ready. That's the best I can say. You can't rush things. I think it would be a mistake to just rush stuff out and just it's just kind of like not really doing ourselves or the fans any favors. We got to really take time, do the due diligence, and make sure we're putting our best foot forward.
Go ahead, Seth.
Do you again, one of the things about rock music that I am not a fan of today are these festival things, man. Because I'm fat, I got one leg. I'm going to die out there in the field, and nobody will ever find me for like a week later. And so I like seeing you guys at local clubs and local. Has that changed a lot? Local scenes and the far like touring at clubs and arenas as opposed to these festival deals. What do you prefer?
I like both, honestly. I mean, I kind of get the best of both worlds. If I want kind of like the bigger tour feel, it's Breaking Benjamin. But if I want to get in the van and sleep on a tire iron and walk into a smoky ass, dirty rock club, that's where my solo career is at the moment.
Which one has the better groupies? That's what I want to know. Is it better to tour the country in the van and pick up the hot chicks at the solo shows? Or is it cool because like the chicks are maybe hotter at the Breaking Benjamin show? Now that they're in their 40s, it's a little bit different, but it's still cool, right?
I honestly I couldn't tell you. Honestly, I'm just trying to get my music out there, and if it happens to be a lovely young lady, then that's great. They buy T-shirts too, so
that's a very politically correct answer, sir.
I'm trying to live vicariously through you being a rock star, and you're not helping my image here.
Well, look, I hate to say this, but number one, I'm pretty much a good boy on the road. Number two, I don't really consider myself a rock star. You think I think rock stars. There's some A-level rock star people. I am. If I'm even in the conversation, I'm like really low level.
I hate to tell you, but you are a rock star.
You are a rock star. Stop it.
I couldn't handle it. I picture myself on your tour bus with you, hanging out, and I'll just pick up the extra chicks, and I'll be hanging outside the window with a bottle of Jack, and I don't even drink anymore, and I'd still.
I keep telling him, Keith, that era's over. That era's done.
It is. if you saw us backstage, your fantasy bubble would be completely burst. 'Cause we are, we are like, using these like, muscle cream and like, everything else like steams, for our,
Right.
vocals and stuff, And honestly, I just haven't been drinking. I can't really drink on tour anymore because it affects my vocals so much, and I really want to be great, and I don't want to embarrass myself, and I want the fans to really have a great experience, I don't really do any. I used to smoke cigarettes, so I quit that. I've never really smoked weed a whole lot, and I don't really drink that much. So now I'm just trying to avoid carbs. So that's
right.
Well,
See how fun that is, Seth.
Yeah, exactly.
I can relate. I stopped drinking. I stopped smoking myself, so I understand.
Yeah. A real wild night for us is when we get Wendy's and we eat the bun. That's us. I mean, nice. It happened on the last tour, and we were all just in the backstage, just like, "Oh my god, this is great."
Too funny. Well, Keith, let's talk about the record a little bit. Infinity Now. The first thing I wanted to ask you about is you worked with a guy who's maybe not the best known, but certainly is one of the biggest buzz guys right now, Kevin Thrasher. He's, he obviously his big claim to fame is Jelly Roll, who's absolutely exploded. Mm-hmm. How did you come in contact with him, and did you choose him because he's having success right now versus solely because of his production qualities?
I think it was a really, I want to say a combination of both, but definitely more of a percentage of how we worked together and what we got out of the first couple of writing sessions that we had. I met him through the label and my publishing company, and really what they did was they set up kind of a series of writing sessions with different writers, producers, and from those sessions I was supposed to basically figure out who's going to produce my album. And so kind of how those sessions went was, as it was going to determine how, which way I was going to go. So I just felt like we hit it off. We kind of got in the studio, we had one day together. Boom, we got a whole full song that day. And then the next day we wrote again, we got another whole song. So I was just like, man, imagine if I had 2 weeks with this dude, and what would we come up with? Like, how great would this be, And not to take away from anyone else that I work with or wrote with, so many talented people. And I mean, I couldn't be thankful enough for them to lend me their talents and their time. But yeah, with Kevin, I think it was kind of like, man, this guy works really fast. We're able to get some really cool ideas. He's on the come up. That was a factor in there too. He worked with Jelly Roll, and I mean, obviously Jelly Roll's a household name now. But at the time, he was kind of getting there, but wasn't really. And I was a fan of Kevin's guitar playing. He used to play in Escape the Fate, also. So yeah, it was just a good. I don't know. It was a good vibe. So yeah,
sure. Now I'm going to ask this, and it's going to sound condescending in a way, but I don't want it to be. It's the only way to ask it. It's the only way to ask it. You. On Infinity Now, and I believe in the past as well, you work with co-writers, and I know Kevin did some writing with you as well.
Yep.
Why? You clearly don't need a co-writer. You clearly are the guy that is the co-writer for a lot of bands. Why would you work with other people to write songs when you clearly have the gift?
Well, that was a very, very nice and sweet question. Actually, that was better than I thought it was going to be. Honestly, man, like I said, this was my first time releasing music with a label. Because my other releases, they were kind of independent.
Sure.
Other than Breaking Benjamin and stuff, but this was something where I had a real partnership with a great label that I really respect, and I wanted to give it the best chances of success that I could. So I felt like I really wanted to get with some writers and people that I really respected, that I thought was really just talented people. And I just didn't think anything bad would come of it,
Okay.
And I still wrote a lot of stuff on my own. And I would bring some of these ideas into these sessions to try and make better, and to, hey, check this out. Is there anything else you hear here that can make this better? I've got it to about right here. Can you take this higher? And so it was a lot of that. A few things were just kind of born in the studio, in the sessions, but I did bring a lot of stuff into the studio as well. I hope that answers the question.
It does. No, it does. And I was, what I think I meant was that the condescending might be for the other people, not necessarily you, but it fascinated me when I was reading through your bio and it said that you had co-writes. And I read that and I was like, why in the world would this guy that everybody calls to help them write, why would you have co-writes?
I mean, I don't know if everybody calls me, but I definitely
You have some big names calling you.
I don't know. I mean,
Korn? Dorothy, Saint Asonia, these are big bands, man.
Yeah, I think a lot of those are born through just kind of mutual, people that we know, and I don't know if they're accidental, they're actually beating down my door or anything like that, but sometimes those things happen, and the opportunities present themselves, whether it's through a mutual friend or Dorothy and I toured together. She was on a Breaking Benjamin tour, and we just kind of started chatting, and I just think she's talented as hell, and I was like, I would love to write some stuff with you, and that's kind of how that happened. So I more like me just beating down their door to work with them.
There you go.
Yeah.
So how badly do you want to punch the creator of Spotify right in the back of the head until he falls down on the ground and can't do another damn thing in the business? Because Spotify and all this streaming stuff has ruined a paycheck, I'm assuming, for guys like you. Breaking Benjamin, huge band. You got great music. And it's got to be very difficult, though, to make a rock star living now.
Yeah, I think everybody lives and dies by touring and merch sales at the moment. And even that is starting to get sliced and diced up by, venues, all the stuff.
That's crap. That's just crap.
Yeah, since the beginning of time, you get an artist and a creative type, and there are business people that are looking to, put their hand in the cookie jar as well. So, I think with Spotify, it's kind of the world we're living in now. I would like for the powers that be to just go to sleep one night and just have an epiphany and a dream, and then wake up and be like, you know what? I'm going to pay the artists what they're worth. But that'll never happen.
People bitch and complain about Napster and fans stealing music. That's what they're doing now with the business. They're stealing your music. They're playing it basically for free to fans, and you get nothing out of it. And that's a crime.
Yeah, we've been kind of brainwashed over the last 20 years now to think that music is now free, and unfortunately, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money, a lot of things go into making it, and so. And it's just, I don't know, it's very trivialized.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell you this, Keith, and it, just for point of reference, my day job when I'm not playing radio guy is that I help guys like you get your royalties. That's what I do for a business.
God bless you.
But I'll tell you, from doing this, I'll tell you what I see. There's no incentive for anybody to help you guys. There's none, because it doesn't do the record company any good to show you how to make all of your money. Because if you make all of your money, then you don't need the record company anymore. So it's better that you don't get your money, and you try to, because you'll get hooked on them. It's almost like a crack addict. Give them a little taste, they'll keep coming back for a bigger taste and a bigger taste, instead of gaining what you should get. It's a sad state, and nobody ever helps the artists, ever.
Yeah, I think the real question, the main factor of all this is exposure, right? People rely on labels and things like that to help really expose them to the world. But you take things like TikTok now. If an independent artist, blows up, goes viral on TikTok, they have the exposure. They don't have to sign, to anything really. They can kind of do it themselves. I mean, obviously they, eventually need booking agents and all that stuff. But yeah, it's just it's a tough business, man. I mean, we're all out here trying to make it and do the best we can. And I don't know how it's going to change. I really don't. I remember there was like this whole petition and this whole thing that was signed a few years back, and there was some kind of deal made, but obviously it's not enough.
I don't know. I look at it and more, and I'm trying to train myself just as a user to use Bandcamp more than Spotify. Because if an artist is on Bandcamp, even though there's no royalty from it, because they don't pay any royalty at all, the truth is neither does Spotify really. If you guys get 10 million plays, you get $1.37. It's crazy. At least with a Bandcamp type of a scenario, your merch and your tickets and everything is right there on the page. So you have the potential to sell there, which you're right though. There's no way to fix it. There's never going to be a way to fix it that on May 3rd, when Infinity Now comes out, it's free on YouTube or it's free on Spotify or Apple Music. That's I get it. It's the necessary evil that'll let you go out there and tour it. But at the same time, it's like, man, that's a tough road, man.
Well, you know what? The only way to really help is that if 5 million people stream it. So everyone out there listening and watching right now,
that's right.
Help out, and you got to stream that album.
That's right. Well, dude, if they want to help out in other ways, like seeing shows or buying merch, and we always tell everybody to buy it, not just stream it. Oh, yeah. Where should we tell people to go to keep up with you and Breaking Benjamin and everything you're involved in?
Well, obviously my Instagram, which is just at KJ Wallen. I'm on all the social media things, Facebook. I have a website, keithwallen.com. It has everything, has merch, has tour dates, all my socials, my YouTube link, all that stuff. Yeah, man, that's it. That and just shows. Come to a show.
Absolutely.
Watch the show. That's one thing that I really haven't done a lot of as a solo artist, and that's tour. And that is just the name of the game, to get out there and tour. So that's really my main objective for the next 2 years, aside from, finishing up the album with Breaking Ben, but getting out there and just hitting the road as a solo artist with my solo band. It's a full band. I've done a lot of solo acoustic shows. I'm kind of trying to steer away from that now because I don't want to be known as just a solo acoustic guy,
Right.
But yeah, man, we got some stuff booked. We're going to be announcing some more stuff this week, and
cool.
Yeah, man, I'm so stoked about it.
Well, call me because I'll be the guy that'll sit on your bus and take care of the chicks and everything else for you. Perfect. I'll be not only like your handicap roadie, but I'll be your guy in the back of the van taking the load off your shoulders. So there you go.
You're hired.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what, Keith, I figured what we would do is we'll wrap up with the video for Strings, which is a very cool song, very cool video. Why don't you tell us about this to wrap it up?
So Strings, basically, guys, we're constantly bombarded by all kinds of just things, social media, all kinds of agendas and all kinds of everything. And this song basically is about having just the complete freedom of thought, to think for yourself. And that's kind of really what my music is all about also, is just being an escape from all the stuff that we see on the news and everything else. Granted, not to ignore that stuff, but like lots of times it's just a lot of bad news, and I just want to be a part of the escape from it all, basically. And this song is it's called Strings, and I don't need a bad religion to practice what they preach in church.
Right.
Basically the lyrics spell it out perfectly.
All right. Well, we'll check it out right now. One more time. The album is Infinity Now. It is out on May the 3rd. There's a couple of videos that are up now on YouTube and wherever you catch videos. And Keith, thanks so much for joining us here on Chris Aker Presents.
Thank you, brother.
Thanks,
bro.
bro.
So much for having me.
I bet you like the cage. It makes you feel so safe. You accept your fate. I'm not The poison just to settle